starting up almost 9 oil and gas companies. And his background is very interesting, so I'm going to let him come up here and do justice to it because he's grown up much different than we have. He dropped out of DT his junior year and worked on starting an oil and gas company. So thank you, Dan, for coming, and take the floor.
All right, you got it. Thanks, So thanks for having me, Udolph. Appreciate the opportunity. I think it was probably 6 or 8 months ago that Udolph had approached me over LinkedIn and asked me to come speak. And typically I don't accept a lot of speaking engagements, number one, because I'm not a public speaker. What I found interesting is that Udolph asked me to come speak tonight to a group of petroleum engineers about entrepreneurship. So I thought what I might do is start by engaging the audience by asking, by show of hands or raise your hand or just call it out however you want. When you think about the word entrepreneurship, what comes to mind? Well, how do you define it just in one word? That's what we're looking for. So go ahead.
Hustle.
Okay, so we got hustle. Go ahead.
Profit.
Profit. Okay. So making money, right? Make a lot of money. Go ahead.
Innovation.
Innovation.
Perseverance.
Perseverance. Okay.
Driven.
Say it again.
Driven.
Driven. Okay. So drive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Risky.
Risky. Okay. My God. All right. Go ahead. Anybody else?
Network.
Network. Okay.
Creative.
Creative. All right. All right.
Competition. Competition.
Competition. Okay. These are all great. So I would ask now, by a show of hands, how many of you guys would like to be recognized in having any or all of these things? Okay. Why? Because they're, people I think admire these qualities in others, right? But 20 years ago, being an entrepreneur, I mean, you didn't want to go to school. You didn't want to have a job. And most of the time it meant you lived in the back of your car and was broke. That's true. So what's happened today in the last 20 years is, people have made being an entrepreneur cool. As Udolph says, I started my first company as a dropout. So prior to that, I was the first kid to graduate in my family from high school. Okay, I don't talk about this in public settings very often, but I think it would be important for you to know. A lot of drug addicts or drug addiction and alcoholism in my family. That was partly why I was the first kid to graduate from high school. I went to junior college as a result of not having any other opportunity, or I should say it was provided the most money. It was a full ride to a junior college in Laredo, Texas, and I had a couple other options. So that's what ultimately led to my decision to go to a junior college over a 4-year university. But as Udolph said, I did end up going to UT Arlington, not Austin. And my junior year in college, I essentially had started my first business, and that was as a result of me responding to an infomercial. So it's middle of the night, just like you guys, I'm cramming for tests. I was a terrible student, hated school all the way through college. But I was cramming for tests and watching television, and there was a guy that came on there, and he was pitching this deal where you could, become an internet yellow page consultant. Okay. Well, I didn't know what the internet was. 1, 2, I didn't have a computer. And so the long and short of it is, I responded to this. I had a credit card that my father had gotten me, and I put that $2,700 or whatever it was for me to pay them to go to work for them. And they sent me a box that had a cassette tape in it, a couple of cassettes, a VHS tape, and it was some training program that allowed for you to, become an internet yellow page consultant for this company that lasted about 6 weeks after I paid that money and went out and sold the first website that a client had bought. And of course, they didn't have domain names like they do now, so it was, tinyurl.com/something, right? And so what happens is I sell this website to this company. Well, I was raised a certain way to believe that when you tell somebody you're going to do it, you're going to do it. Well, I don't have a computer. I just sold an $800 website and got a $400 deposit. And I'm gonna build this website. Well, I don't know where to go. You can't go to Wix. You can't go to, WordPress.com and build a website. Okay, you got to write the code. Don't have a computer. Don't have, any kind of programming. No. I'm a criminal justice major. I'm really an athlete. I'm, struggling through class to play baseball. That's what that looked like. So I had to go to the bookstore and buy a book on HTML, and for about 8 weeks, and then use a computer at college to write this website, the code that built this website. It's probably the worst website that's ever been built. But I did collect the $400. The first went to the company, went out of business. So the balance of that $400 was essentially the springboard of becoming, an entrepreneur, right? And so 2 years later, Udolph, you mentioned I was in oil and gas. I actually wasn't. My first business was what became the largest web development company in Dallas-Fort Worth, and I took the company public. So by the time I was 21 years old, I had hundreds of employees, 5 offices in the United States, and no idea what I was doing. Okay? In fact, I didn't know how to add. I didn't know how to read an income statement or a balance sheet. And I say this all the time. I'm not a businessman. First, I'm an entrepreneur. And essentially the way I define that is I just don't see things the same way. I can only say that, imagine you have a jigsaw puzzle laid upside down on a table. That's how I see the world. That's how I see relationships, business, opportunities, those types of things. So where others might perceive risk, okay, I just see opportunity. And I see how the jigsaw puzzle goes together upside down. It's only when you're able to put some glue on the back of it or tape it together and do this that people see the picture. I'm 21 years old. I don't know what anxiety is, right? I don't know what introversion is. Okay, so I just know that every time I show up and there's 100 people in my office, I don't know why. I don't know if it was because someone was playing tricks on me or God's way of helping me to become, challenge me. But my office was at the very end of the hallway. Okay, so I have to go by everybody to get to my office, and it's like I felt like I needed to do this to go to my office. I'm not joking, and I still feel those things. I feel it right now, but the communicative skills that is just skills. Okay, so Wally comes to my office. He knocks on the door. Okay, and I'm so goofy. I have no social skills either. So I'm plugging away on my computer, and he's in the room, and I look back like this, and he's white as a ghost. I think he's sick, like fixing to have a heart attack or something. So I turn around, I was like, "Hey, are you okay?" And he says, and he's trembling, and he says, "Well, Dan, people think you hate them," and it literally crushed me, broke my heart, because of the fact that my social and the anxiety that I was experiencing was disallowing me to connect with people like I'm doing with you right now. You feel that? That's connection, right? Because we all are humans. We all live and breathe and want the same thing, no matter where you're from. How many, just let me think, let me ask it this way. How many in the room are not U.S. citizens, not born in the United States? Look at that. But so, do you love your mom?
Absolutely.
Would you like to have a family one day?
Absolutely.
Would you rather be right or happy?
Happy.
Of course. And I could do the same thing with each of us. Why? Because we're all human. Wally says, "Dan, everybody thinks you hate him." So I immediately called a meeting, and this is exactly what it looked like. It felt a lot like this, too. We crammed everybody we had in this one little room, and I started by, it certainly didn't sound like this, but it sounded something like this. Guys, Wally just, brought something to my attention that destroyed me. And I want you all to know that I have no idea what I'm doing. Now, imagine you're working for this guy, right? And, he owns the company, runs the company, and he tells you he doesn't know what he's doing. But I was being very transparent. And what happened in that moment is I recognized that I had to become a leader. And I started studying it and understanding what I was lacking so that I could start, leading and being more of what I needed to be. So I say that to say that from that period of my life, from that point in my life, the last 20 years, as Udolph said, I have had the privilege and the honor to serve, thousands of people in various capacities, both that were employees of mine or companies that customers that I worked for, companies that I owned and sold or bought or what have you. But by the time that really I discovered that I was an entrepreneur, right? That became cool, let's call it. I was really too ignorant to have ever really recognized that there was any risk. I was just too ignorant to any of that, And by the time that people started telling me what I couldn't do, I'd been doing it for so long, it was just noise. Meaning if you knew that you could, do 100 push-ups, right, in 2 minutes, because you did it yesterday or 5 minutes ago, and someone comes in and says, well, you can't do that. What's the point? You're not going to spend much time there. So I think that's a problem. So then let me just give you the personal side. So that's the business side. The last 20 years, I've bought and sold a bunch of companies. I've had big swings, both financially, physically, physical health, mental health. You guys can learn all about that if you ever have an interest. I'm very open about that in my writings. I've experienced a lot of pain and suffering. Being an entrepreneur is not easy. I don't know anything different. But at the same time, I love it. And I'm very passionate about it. I have a beautiful bride. Her name's Ashley. We have 3 children. I've got a 3-year-old son, August, with her, a 2-year-old son named Harris, and then I have a newborn who's a week old. His name is Oliver. I have an older son. His name is Kyson, who's 10, and my daughter is 9. That was from my previous marriage. So we have a very healthy, blended family. And Michael, who's here with me tonight, thank you, Michael, for being here. I was sharing with him earlier that it's just such an honor to be here, to have come from where I came from to be here. And this is I'm going to let you, Udolph, come up and we'll go through some of the questions you have for me. But what's so special for me is that my heart is to give back. I am very passionate about giving, I'd say giving is living. Giving not only of our money and time and interest, but also of our attention. So for me to be here and be talking about, talking to petroleum engineers, which by the way, I have spent the last 17 years in the oil and gas space. So I am very much an oil and gas, entrepreneur, among other things, but that's where my area of focus really lies. Giving back is for me to be standing in front of what is the future. We've got a lot of things that are going on in our industry. In certainly the last 10 years, the biggest boom or bust that we've experienced since the 80s, probably of all time. And to sit here and be here with you guys, that I know that you guys are going to be coming up with groundbreaking, technologies and ways to go about, getting hydrocarbons out of the ground is cool. That's very cool to me, man.